Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yoli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learned over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And I made a then versus now growth updates video recently and I really enjoyed making it. I found it so interesting to put my plants next to each other and see how far they'd come. So I thought I would make another video like that. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So the first growth update that I want to give you is of a plant that I probably get the most questions about on my channel just because I found them dumped in a skip. I rehabbed them and I made a whole video on that. And so this is a 4-month growth update. So this is what they looked like then. Whoa, there go the scissors. Look at that. There we go. So now I've got 2 separate plants. As I say, like, looking at the new growth points coming in, actually, I think this plant's going to be absolutely fine. I was so worried. And yeah, I'm going to just leave them in a spot that gets kind of bright and direct light and lots of humidity. And just 4 months later, this is the smaller one. And as you can see, even this one is pretty huge, pretty well established now. And then the bigger one, dun, da, da, da. How crazy is that? I just cannot get over how quickly these plants have grown. They are absolutely huge. And I know I have done quite a few updates on them in other videos since then, but I feel like some people might have missed that. I've had a lot of people asking what's going on with them, and this is what's going on with them. They are doing brilliantly and they're just such beautiful, beautiful plants. As I say, like, if you're looking for something ridiculously hardy and super fast growing and quite unusual as well, like they've got really beautiful kind of flamey leaves. They almost look a little bit like Philodendron Ring of Fire with that crinkly bit around the edges. But yeah, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this plant. And I haven't taken any cuttings yet or anything like that. I don't know how easy they'd be to propagate. Like, if you have a look at the stems, I don't feel like it would be the most straightforward thing in the world, but at some point I might give it a go. But yeah, that is them. And then this next one's actually only a 4-week update, which I know is quite soon to be doing an update on, but I felt like it was worthy of this video. It's my Hoya Macrophylla Red that I got on my Arid Market order. But the one I've had to do the most to is the Hoya Macrophylla Red. As you can see, she's not looking as she was before. I actually chopped her up because her leaves started to turn. I don't know, her leaves they weren't looking great. Like, one of them actually dropped off and I was like, oh, okay, right. If the plant's going to start going downhill, I need to act pretty fast. So as you can see from that clip, I did decide to completely chop that plant up just because I was having issues with it. It wasn't looking good at all. And I also tried air layering it, and I have never air layered a Hoya before. I had no idea if it was going to work, and I will put a picture there, but I can confirm that it did work. And I took them out of sphagnum moss about 5 days ago now, and I've potted them up, and this is what it's looking like now. How beautiful is that? I think when you compare it to the other clip, you can just tell that it's got so much more colour in its leaves. It's looking really, really gorgeous and full and healthy, and I have no doubt that this plant now is going to be absolutely fine. When I was repotting it as well, I did notice that there were quite a few new growth points down on some of the stems, so I'm really hoping that this plant's going to start giving me some beautiful new growth soon. But yeah, I'm just totally in love with it, and I'm so happy it was savable. Next is my Alocasia Caprea Red Secret, and oh my goodness, I am totally obsessed with this plant. I think the last time I showed you it was when I first got it, which was 2.5 months ago now. The first plant that I got is this Alocasia Caprea Red Secret, which is just absolutely beautiful. I've never had this plant before and I'm just so chuffed with it. It looks really alien-y and cool and I just adore it. It did come rooted. I did actually take pictures before I did anything to the plants yesterday of their root system, all that sort of stuff, so I'll pop some pictures in. So this is the only leaf she had before when I first showed you her, and since then she has given me this huge, beautiful leaf along with this little one that's literally just been the last few days. And I just think this plant is so incredibly unusual, and the colour of the leaves, which the camera never does justice to, but they're really iridescent, like they're kind of red but with a really kind of gold tinge to them when they catch the light. I don't really know if you can see, but yeah, I think this plant is beautiful. I'm so impressed with how well it's growing. I always worry a little bit with alocasias when I first get them if they've had to travel, and this one was knocked about quite a bit. I left the plant swap, I went and stayed with my friend Emma, and then I got the tray coming back the next day, and I didn't get around to actually doing anything to the plants for a good few days after that. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm worried about the alocasia. But this one has done very well and I'm so happy with it. I also really like how it's actually giving me kind of 360 growth and it's not all facing one way. I am so bad at remembering to turn my plants a lot of the time, and I've just kind of accepted the fact that a lot of them are kind of like whoop towards the light, and I'm going to try and keep on top of it with this plant because I really like that she looks really beautiful from all angles. I feel like maybe when I move house I'll put her in the middle of my dining table or something like that so that she just looks beautiful all round. But yeah, I think she's stunning and I'm super impressed with how well she's growing so far. The next one's a Variegated Monstera cutting that I showed you in November last year, and I was having so many struggles with this plant. I couldn't get it to root for absolutely ages. I kind of thought it wasn't going to make it. When it eventually did root, it then got thrips. This is another one that was affected by thrips. This is one of my Variegated Monsteras. You can see really clearly up here the thrip damage. That is just absolutely classic. It looks mottled and it doesn't look very nice, but it's, touch wood, thrip free, and it's got such a good root system on it. And this is what it's looking like today. It is so beautiful. Just like look at the variegation on that leaf. It's just stunning. And the thing that I'm really impressed with this plant is maybe not the speed of its growth so much, although it has been fairly quick. It's just the maturity of the growth it's pushing out. Like if you look at this new leaf, like look at all that secondary fenestration and look at the size of its leaves as well. I just think it's doing so brilliantly and I'm really, really impressed with it. The one thing that I'm ever so slightly worried about, and I don't know if I'll be able to actually, yeah, you can see there. So one of its stems split and I don't know how that happened. And obviously since then it has managed to produce a new leaf that looks absolutely fine, but I do worry a little bit about this big leaf here because I just kind of feel like if it gets knocked even slightly, then that might be enough to kind of cut off the nutrient supply that that leaf needs. So I'm tempted to kind of maybe stake and tape it. I'm not quite sure. And as you can see, I haven't yet put it on a moss pole and it's definitely in need of one now. Since I've moved it up into this pot, it started to give me loads of new growth and the growth has become, as I say, quite a lot bigger and more mature. So I think I'm going to need to give it a moss pole fairly quickly. But yeah, I can't get over how well it's doing and I absolutely love it. The next growth comparison is a 5-month update. This is my Alocasia portadora, which if you watch my other videos nowadays, since I've moved my big Variegated Monstera upstairs, you will see in a lot of my videos. But I mean, you can even see she's got, this is a new leaf. That's a new leaf and there's another new leaf coming up there. So she's doing amazingly well. I can tell just by looking at her that since I've lived here compared to my old place with more light, she has become a little bit kind of thinner and more stretched, but that's kind of to be expected. And I'll have to insert some clips of her now because as you can see, she's huge. There is no way that I'm picking her up and carrying her over here for this, but she is doing so brilliantly. As you can see from that other clip, she was looking quite kind of thin and stretched because her lighting just wasn't ideal. I had her down in my basement room with me, which is just under grow lights, and now she's giving me some insane growth. Like, look at that new leaf there. It's absolutely huge. And she's definitely, besides my Variegated Monstera, she is, I would say, the biggest plant in my collection. And I think she's just beautiful and I love her. I just wanted to throw this next one in here because it's a plant that I am so incredibly proud of. It's super common, but I grew it from a 1-leaf cutting from my friend's plant. It's a Jade plant and I showed you it exactly this time last year. Next, we've got the Crassula ovata, which is commonly known as the Jade plant or money plant because it's meant to bring wealth and prosperity to whoever owns it. I'm still waiting for that. This one actually started as a teeny tiny branch cutting about 2 years ago, I think. I've actually got some pictures somewhere, so I will pop them in if I can find them. But yeah, I literally cannot get over how quickly she's grown in that time. Check out the growth on this one. She's literally a proper little tree now. Like, look at that trunk. It's absolutely insane. And also, as you can see, she's giving me so many new growth points here that I'm hoping at some point soon will start to branch out. And the only thing is, I was going to say, if you notice that her leaves are a little bit darker down towards the bottom, that is completely my own fault. I just left her in a spot that got too much direct sun. And so that is just a bit of sun stress. But now that I've moved her to a lower light spot, I'm hoping she should turn lovely and green again. But Oh, I don't want to tip her over, but just look how beautiful she is, and look at all that new growth on top. And this is a plant that I know, as I say, I know it's ridiculously common, but I feel like I've built such a relationship with, because I'm just so proud to have nurtured her from such a teeny tiny thing into what she is now. And I'm also really surprised at how quick she's been to grow, to be honest. I mean, succulents, they can be quite slow. So yeah, I'm amazed by this one, and I probably need to repot her soon, but I hope that when I do, she will continue to give me some lovely new growth and grow huge. The next one's a 4-month growth update. It's one of my Syngonium Elbow plants, and I showed you this one as a teeny tiny cutting when I first set up my grow cabinets. And then here I've got a Syngonium Elbow. Again, I potted this one up fairly recently. I actually potted up 2 cuttings from my mother plant downstairs, and the one here that I've chopped back, the leaf kind of turned quite yellow, and I thought I'm just gonna give it the chop. But you can see I cut it just above where there's a new little growth point, so I'm really hoping that that's going to come back in soon. And this is her. Oh, this is her today. She is such a fast growing plant. I've chopped and propagated this plant so many times over the years, and the reason you can see here that she's got kind of bare patches on her stem is because, as you know, if you watch my other videos, I've struggled so much with this plant just giving me purely white growth, and all of the leaves up here were completely white. So after a couple of months, they died off, and that's kind of the reason why I've continued to chop her so much. Obviously, some of the leaves here do have a beautiful balance of both green and white, but for the time being, I've just decided to let this one grow, and I'm currently propagating lots of other cuttings, and I think at some point I'll pot them all up together so that hopefully there will be a really nice balance of green and white running through the whole plant, because as you can see, she's looking a little bit sparse at the moment, but she's still just so beautiful, and she has naturally sprouted another little growth point there, but again, as you can see, it is very white, which looks absolutely beautiful, but because it doesn't contain any chlorophyll, it just means that the plant has to really struggle to support it, and the leaves usually don't last very long. But yeah, nevertheless, I think she's gorgeous. As I say, she's ridiculously fast growing, and I'm excited to pot some more cuttings up with her in the same pot and hopefully get her looking a little bit fuller. This next one's one that I've been really quite excited about. It's a Pepperomia Hope, and I showed you it just over a month ago in my tiny plant tour. This one here, this one I know I'm saying I love them all, aren't I? Maybe I just won't say it and you can just assume that I love them all. But this is a Pepperomia Hope, which is definitely getting too big for this pot now. But I think I'm probably gonna put it in a hanging pot and just let it trail. So bearing in mind this is just over a month's worth of growth, look at her now. She's really properly trailing out of her pot, and I just think she is absolutely beautiful. I love Peperomia in general, but this one, I don't know, I mean, she's almost so perfect. Like, the leaves are so perfect, they almost don't look real. And I've said this before as well, but she almost gives me kind of like Hoya vibes. I think she's so succulent and gorgeous. But yeah, if you look at the top there as well, she's got loads of new growth coming. So I'm really hoping at some point soon, and I feel like it won't be too far off if this is just over a month's worth of growth, but I'm really hoping that she'll kind of properly trail down, and I'll probably need to repot her quite soon, actually. I didn't think I would. I mean, with some plants, I'm always a little bit worried when I move them up pot sizes too quickly, but this one is just spreading and filling the pot so quickly. I mean, yeah, like, I don't know if you can quite comprehend how much growth this is in such a short period of time, but I'm really impressed with her. I think she's so beautiful, and yeah, I will keep you updated. Fingers crossed next time you see her, she will be down here. This next one's another 5-month growth update that I showed you in my bedroom plant tour 5 months ago. It is a Ripsalis Bachyfera or something like that. I'll put all the names on the screen, but this is one that I struggled with so much when I first got it. I got it on the rescue shelf in B&Q, I think, and it had horrendous root rot. It didn't look good, and I tried to save it. So yes, this was it then. I think it's bounced back pretty well, to be honest. I mean, it's a plant that I don't really do much to. Like, I have just put her in this window, water her every few weeks when the soil feels dry, and she's doing really well. So yeah, and this is it now. As you can tell, it is just absolutely exploded with growth, and I just absolutely love the way that this plant grows. Like, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of got like, it makes a pom-pom of growth that then makes little pom-poms beneath it. They almost look like little green fireworks. They're just so pretty. And it really started to kind of burst into action when I brought it up here to this room as opposed to my bedroom, because I don't think it was getting enough natural light down there. And yeah, it's just so lovely. It almost looks like, I was going to say a Christmas tree or something like that, and I don't feel like that's right, but it's got very kind of outdoory British tree vibes about it, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think it's gorgeous. I think, again, I'll probably have to repot this one fairly soon because I haven't repotted it in quite a long time, but it's doing really well. It's flooding the room with beautiful growth, and I'm super excited to watch it continue to grow. This one again is a very recent growth update. I only showed you it 4 weeks ago. It's my Variegated Adansonii that I got from Arrowed Markets. And then the Variegated Adensonia. Oh my goodness, I've got another wishlist plant. Look at that, look how beautiful those leaves are. It is doing very well. I did lose one leaf. Actually, that leaf was kind of yellowing a little bit when I unboxed it, but I made the decision to chop that one, and since then it's been doing really well. I just had to include this plant because I love it so much, and it's giving me so much new growth already. Honestly, I swear this one is faster growing than my regular Adansonii, the non-variegated one, which is really quite unusual. I thought it would be a lot slower, but in the time I've had it, it's already given me about 3 new leaves, and it's got this new one here on the way as well. And I'm obsessed with it. This was a wish list plant of mine for such a long time, and I still can't quite believe that I own it. I feel so lucky to own this plant, and the fact that it's so fast growing as well just makes me unbelievably happy. It makes me so happy. I'm keeping it in my cabinet at the moment because obviously that's got lots of light, lots of heat, lots of humidity, which this plant really loves, and it does just help to encourage faster growth. So I'm really hoping it continues to give me lots. I actually feel like, I don't know if you can see without me pouring soil everywhere, maybe not, I might have to put a clip in, but it's got a really good root system on it, and it's actually starting to really kind of, there we go, I found a bit that you might be able to see, just there. But it's actually starting to really push its roots down towards the bottom of the pot, which makes me think that maybe it will be ready for a bigger pot at some point soon. I also obviously need to get it on a pole or something like that so that it can climb, but oh my goodness, I'm just in love with this plant. I think it's beautiful, and I love the variegation. It's just stunning. So yeah, I will keep you updated with this one. The next update's my Philodendron Splendid, which I got as an unrooted cutting from the plant swap 2.5 months ago. And then I've saved the best one till last because this has been a wish list plant of mine for such a long time. This is a Philodendron Splendid, and I honestly can't believe that I own one of these. I swapped this with Memo, again, Houseplanty goodness. I swapped this with him for my Ernestii, my Philodendron Ernestii. I feel like I was told that this plant was quite slow growing, and I have to disagree. I think it's grown pretty amazingly in the time that I've had it, especially considering that the one leaf cutting that I had didn't have a root system on it when I first got it. It's given me some beautiful new growth, and it's just literally in the last couple of days given me this gorgeous leaf here as well. This is a plant that I wanted for such a long time, and I still am so in awe of. I can't believe I own this plant. I think it's so beautiful, but it gave me a bit of a fright recently. Literally before I went on holiday, the day before I went on holiday, I found mealybugs on it, and I have never had mealybugs before, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Please don't take out one of my favorite plants. And touch wood, I feel like I've managed to treat them and they haven't come back. It's probably been about a month now, and I have seen no more signs. I did make a video on how I treated them. I will link it up there along with lots of other pest treatments and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like, touch wood, and I don't want to jinx it, but what I did the trick, and it's now looking really beautiful and healthy again. And I actually only gave it this moss pole, I think about 3 weeks ago, and since I've put it on the pole, it's just gone whoochoo. So I think a new pole is probably in order quite soon. But yeah, I'm so happy with how it's growing, and I really hope that all of the leaves get this big and mature at some point soon, because it just looks so gorgeous. It's such a stunning plant, and yeah, feel very lucky to have it. This next one's my Peperomia Rosso, which I showed you 4 months ago, again, when I first set up my grow cabinets. And then this is a Peperomia Rosso that, again, I showed you in my how to propagate Peperomia video. And this is one of the ones that, to be honest, I have slightly neglected, and you can tell by kind of the tips there, she hasn't had the best humidity, and I've been a little bit patchy with my watering. There's been quite a few times where the soil's dried out and I've just kind of forgotten about her, which I know is not good. And this one is absolutely screaming out for a repot, but look at how beautiful and full it's got. It's got those gorgeous red undersides of the leaves, and it's just doing so well. And I can't remember if I've said this on my channel before or not. I don't know if I have, but this plant's got a really lovely story behind it. So last summer, me and my mum went away to Devon together. We went camping, and on our last day, we went to have breakfast at a place that had a massive one of these on the table. And I went up to the people that worked there and I just asked if I could take a little leaf cutting, and they said yes. And so we put it in a damp napkin, transported it all the way home, potted it up, and now it is a beautiful, beautiful new plant. But yeah, I think it's just gorgeous. It's so unusual. It's got those beautiful, beautiful kind of shimmery, shiny leaves, and I think it's just gorgeous. The next growth comparison is my little aloe vera plant, which I showed you just over a month ago in my tiny plant tour, and it wasn't doing very well the last time I showed you it. And then here's one that's not particularly happy, but I have hope for. So this is an aloe vera, and my mum's got a big aloe vera plant, and this was a little pup that had come up from the soil, and it just wasn't looking very good. And I thought, okay, I'll take it out and I'll see what I can do. And as you can see, it's meant to be bright green, and at the moment it's very kind of browny, purpley, not great. And this is what it's looking like now. Look how beautiful and full and green it's looking. It's funny actually, because I didn't have this plant in direct sunlight at all. It was literally just in this room, didn't get any direct sun, but I think it was still too bright for it, and I think that's partly why it was really kind of red and browny and not looking great. Obviously, besides the fact that I had also divided it from the other plant quite recently. But since I've moved it to a lower light spot, like at the moment, on my shelves over there that don't have any grow lights, I've got it right at the back, and it seems to be really, really happy there. So it's still getting, I'd say kind of medium lights, but kind of shaded lights. And I don't know why, for aloe vera, you always would think that they would prefer slightly higher lighting conditions. I think especially because my variegated aloe vera over there on the windowsill does get a bit of direct sun and is absolutely fine. I assumed this one would be too, but this one is a lot more sensitive. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how she's growing. Again, I think I'll probably need to repot her fairly soon because she's in a teeny tiny pot and is giving me quite a lot of new growth. So yeah, I think she's gorgeous, and I just love my tiny plants. And then lastly, this one is a 4-month update. This is my little Philodendron Varicosum that I showed you in my grow cabinet setup / tour. And then here I've got another little Varicosum, which again, the last time I showed you this one, I think didn't even have any leaves. It was literally just, I guess you would kind of say a top cutting, but it was a top cutting with no leaves at all that I literally just stuck in water when my big one upstairs wasn't doing well. And I kind of just thought, we'll see what happens. So I did pot this one up with another Philodendron Varicosum cutting as well, just because I wanted to make it look lovely and full. But I will cover the other cuttings so you can just see that plant. And as you can see, she's doing so beautifully. She's giving me some really quite mature growth now. That's the cutting I potted her up with. But yeah, as you can see, she's got a new growth point there, and she's just been so fast. This one was actually just like a teeny tiny chunk at one point that came off one of my other Varicosums. I literally just threw it in some water, hope for the best. Checked back on her a few weeks later and noticed that she had a little root, and then I was like, there's hope. And as you can see, there was definitely hope, because she's now a really beautiful plant. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I absolutely love doing videos like this comparing the growth updates. So if you would like to see more like this, then do let me know in the comments and I will happily make them. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.